Now, Tom, we've recently seen 4 banks collapse.
Mhm.
Do you think there'll be more banks collapsing? What is your view on the banking system, and are people's money safe in banks?
Well, there's a very interesting, that's a loaded question from my perspective. I have a very nuanced view of this, and I think I have to kind of set some background before I get started here. The 4 banks that failed were all very heavily politically connected San Francisco banks. Our Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, and also the extender of the Bernanke architected zero bound interest rates and QE policies is Janet Yellen, the former head of the San Francisco Fed. And then there's the New York Fed, which is who Jerome Powell, the FOMC chair, represents. And I do really fundamentally believe that we have a war going on within the Federal Reserve itself. Okay. We have the San Francisco Fed, which is, I think, the pretender to the throne, trying to take out the New York Fed. One has the backing now of the Treasury Department, and one has the backing of the FOMC chair. When you start to look at it from that perspective, those banks that failed, I think, were targeting decapitations by the Federal Reserve, by the FOMC, the New York Fed, because the San Francisco Fed and Silicon Valley, I don't really think they have the United States' best interests at heart. I think they work for much more globalist powers. And I think it's pretty clear who they sympathize with. And we saw them, during the pandemic, reinforce every ridiculous edict, calls for lockdowns and masking and disinformation campaigns and suppression and all the rest of it. Like, everything is down. All the things that we saw on things like Twitter and Facebook and all the suppression, that all comes downstream from Silicon Valley, which comes downstream from, I think, the San Francisco Fed and us being at zero bound interest rates for 13 years. And so you have that. And then just the simple fact that these banks were betting on Powell pivoting because someone was telling them politically that we were going to force Powell to pivot, and Powell didn't pivot. And then their loan portfolios were in serious trouble. They were 30, 40, 50% underwater. Someone leaked that they were in trouble. And, we had a couple of bank runs. Will we have more bank runs in the future? Yes. But it'll be because now Powell's got rates at 5.5%, probably 6%, possibly 7%. And there's a lot of banks that are just like those 4 particularly important San Francisco banks. Now the normal rank and file banks are going to be are dealing with the same problems, right? But not necessarily to the same degree. And so, yes, we'll see some more consolidation in the U.S. banking system simply because, 13 years of zero bound interest rates is, 13 years too long. Hi, I'm Tom Luongo, and you're watching Think Smart Education.